No, Missouri is not going to the college football playoff in 2024, as much to my dismay, but 10 wins is still on the horizon. All you got to do is sing a sweet tune in Nashville as you take on Iowa in the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. What's going on, SEC Unfiltered? He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, breaking down everything we will see in Nissan Stadium as the number 19 Missouri Tigers play host to the Kirk Ferentz Iowa Hawkeyes. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports, a link in the description. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson, link also in the description. And the biggest description, make sure you check out SECUnfiltered.com. This episode and preview is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. The holiday season is right around the corner, and what better gift to give someone in your life than a RHOBACK pullover, a RHOBACK fleece, a RHOBACK hoodie, really whatever you see fit from RHOBACK. And when you do so, use the promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU, 20% off your first purchase. Missouri takes on Iowa. Dave, 10 wins on the horizon for the Tigers. They enter as a 3-point favorite. This is going to be a defensive battle, regardless of what you think about the passing attack, with Brady Cook likely playing in his final game as a Tiger. Regardless of if we have Theo Weaves out there, we get to see the growth in the relationships of younger players stepping on forward. Corey Batoon's defense was the backbone for Mizzou in multiple instances this year, and death, taxes, Kirk Ferentz making sure that his team shows up. Hurling Hawkeyes, they're going to be on their way to playing on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game we were supposed to get, I believe, in 2020, right?
I believe it was 2020. Yeah, 2020 or 2021. They canceled like the head-to-head.
Yeah, they canceled it head-to-head here. No, this will be a fun matchup, though. I mean, I think Missouri still has some things to play. I mean, we talk about sometimes these bowls, the motivation. I mean, obviously, you're going to be missing Luther Burden or Armand Mimbo, but I mean, Missouri gets to come in here and go for double-digit back-to-back wins. I think that's something to be proud of at Missouri. Yeah. I think it's a legitimate game. I think at the end of this season, Missouri would have finished the job in Nashville. I mean, they could be one of the bigger winners at the end of the year. I mean, take away the South. I mean, me and you both agree on this, Bear. I think towards the end of the year, Missouri was kind of hitting their stride. We talked about it all the time. Even in that loss to South Carolina, I thought that was their best game of the year. I think they would have beat a lot of teams that day. They just
that version of Mizzou would have held its own against Texas A&M. It would have held its own against Alabama, certainly.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was their best game, even in a loss. Thought they started playing some of their better football down the stretch. So I kind of like where Missouri sits. Again, got to replace the right tackle, got to replace your big playmaker. But I still think Eli Drinkwitz can motivate this team enough and go out athlete a potential Iowa Hawkeye Hawkeye team, who, like you said, Kirk Ferentz consistently doing Kirk Ferentz things. Have them in some bowl games as well. And they're going to be missing the Big Ten leading rusher Caleb Johnson as well. So we have some key opt-outs, but I think both teams have a lot to play for.
They're also going to be missing Cade McNamara, who entered the transfer portal. Now, again, McNamara only finished with a 60% completion rating, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, completed less than 1,200 receiving yards. This is a run-oriented team. But when Caleb Johnson's out, when you're not going to have your quarterback, there's going to be some ways that you kind of scheme things up to keep Missouri off guard. I don't really see many Missouri opt-outs defensively. I think that you're going to have a ton of names that want to boost up their draft stock just a little bit more. They want to be able to say that they helped get to 10 wins for a second consecutive year underneath Eli Drinkwitz. And the big storyline naturally comes down to Brady Cook, the ultimate Tiger. This is a man who came back in after going to a hospital to win a homecoming game against Auburn while playing on Percocet and sheer determination of guaranteeing 9-10 wins on the year. This is a team that's going to have multitude of offensive linemen that are expected back next year. The only player who we know that is out in this game that is coming back next year is Connor Tollison, the potential all-SEC center. But still, there's a lot to think that there's opportunities for multiple players to step on up on both sides of the ball. And for Brady Cook, this is a game where, much like last year when Iowa played Tennessee, the hype around Nico Iamaleava started to pick up in the offseason. Look at what he did against a Kirk Ferentz defense. Well, what if you say the same thing, but it's an NFL draft scout perspective? Look at what he did against a Kirk Ferentz defense. Maybe there's something left in him when we take him to the NFL level, even as a late day 3 pick.
Yeah, no, I think Brady Cook's got a lot to play for here. Again, like you said, came back from the injury against Auburn, came back from the hospital. Again, I keep saying it, 10 wins on the horizon. That is massive. To go win 11 last year after the Ohio State win in the Cotton Bowl. Again, not the year you wanted, 9-3. Again, I think sort of kind of a lot of realistic people had them though, but it just kind of felt like they were just out of the conversation for a while, for whatever, even in the win sometimes before me and you started talking about them getting hot, struggled a little bit. But no, I mean, still just a ton to play for. In a bowl season at times where teams don't. Let's call a spade too. But I think Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz shouldn't have a problem really getting his team up for guys like, especially like you said, Brady Cook, that it actually means something for them playing in Columbia, Missouri.
It's not only that. I think the other thing is that they want to end the year in the way they started, 10 wins. I mean, you got to look back at the history of Mizzou since it joined the SEC. They've had 2 great years where they went to Atlanta. And besides that, they've kind of been a bottom dweller. There's people that still make fun of Mizzou and say they don't belong in the SEC because they have Midwest weather. But you get to say that you're one of a handful of teams that got to 10-3 on the year. You can say you're one of a handful of teams that has back-to-back top 15 transfer portal classes. You're back-to-back top 15 recruiting classes, back-to-back top 25 rankings in the AP poll and in the college football playoff rankings. That means something to this team. What I'm going to be really interested in is this defensive front seven of Iowa versus the ground game. I don't know the stats in Nate Noel. I think that Marcus Carroll is going to be playing in this matchup. What's going to be really interesting is seeing what happens with Missouri's backup, because they just lost one of their running backs. Lacey went over to Ole Miss overnight, but they have Jamal Roberts. And the reason why I think that he left is because Jamal Roberts is going to have a very extensive role in 2025. This season, 4.1 yards per play, 3 rushing touchdowns, 214 yards on the season, kind of stepped on up down the stretch. Big time carries against Mississippi State and Arkansas to close out the year. I think that we were going to see him have a very dynamic role in this game and give kind of Mizzou fans a little bit more to be excited about as he takes on over as the new, what you hope to be, long-term solution out in Como.
Yeah, and I mean, it'll be a good test for him too, as well. Because I mean, as we said once again, Iowa's a top 15 defense in the country statistically, but still, I think it's an under the radar thing that Missouri does. Is that outside zone scheme they run when they commit to it, which again, I say it all the time, for whatever reason, these offense coordinators get real happy, want to get in their bags, prove they're the smartest guy in the room. Sometimes just stick with what's working. Even going back to last year with Cody Schrader, that's why Cody Schrader was so good. It was proof in the pudding. It was a lot of it was the system. Look, the guy went undrafted. So it kind of showed you what from a good, again, led the SEC in rushing last year, not taking anything away from Cody Schrader. It just kind of that proves it from an NFL personnel perspective. They thought it was a little bit of a product of the system. And I think it is. That's more of a tip of the cap to Eli Drinkwitz and Kirby Moore, the way they run that. If you can stick to that, I think you'll have a chance to be successful because no one's really stopped that when they committed to it. Looking at it now, Iowa comes in at 21st in rushing defense, giving up 199.8 yards, damn near just 200 on the dot on the ground. I think Missouri could have some success. Obviously, you're not going to have Luther Burden to go use the play action off of, but you have other weapons as well. I think if you establish that run, Missouri could potentially run away from this. And I think that's their secret weapon, but you got to stick to it, Bear.
What's going to be really interesting on the opposing side is, you mentioned it, no Caleb Johnson. He has opted out of this game. He is going to prepare for the NFL draft. That's probably a top 5 running back, top 100 selection come April 2025. But Kamari Moulton gets to step on up and now take over as the future long-term answer out in Iowa City. And Moulton this past year was very underutilized, but he did have a breakout performance in the win against Maryland. 9.5 yards per carry, 12 carries, 114 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, finished the year averaging 5.4 yards per play. And if you are Mizzou, if you can shut him down, this could go one of 2 ways. Either your offense just isn't able to be explosive, so it's low scoring, or you kind of take out your anger that you're left out of the playoff. And what's really interesting, Dave, is that everyone else of those 9-3 squads, Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, they're up here. They're 13. They're 14. Mizzou's at 20. So there's a bunch of teams that they say in the Big 12, you're worse than. There's teams in the Big 10, you're worse than. You're going to kind of take out your anger and go, this is why we belong inside the top 15, you son of a bitch.
No, Barry, you're right. There's a lot of hell. I was listening to a show the other day and someone brought it up. Why is Missouri still in the top 25? That was a consistent talking point on the CFP. You're giving Alabama and South Carolina extra top 25 wins. How the hell do these guys keep staying in? You're right. I mean, I think they are playing that way at the end of the year. Again, is it to the extent of South Carolina? No, because South Carolina's won 6 straight games and obviously beat Missouri.
Sure.
But when Missouri was playing pretty good football, again, the snow game against Arkansas, they ended up finding a way to win that game. But to your point, Barry, you brought it up a little bit for Iowa here. The Kamari Moulton kid came into the season as RB1. So he kind of had the expectation coming in, obviously got surpassed by our guy Johnson. And then the quarterback spot, I saw Kirk Ferentz talking about they're going to give both Brendan Sullivan and Jackson Stratton opportunities in practice. Probably lean Sullivan. He stated that because we know Kirk Ferentz is an old school coach. He's not going to sugarcoat things. But he said he wouldn't be shocked if Jackson Stratton really challenged him. So like you said, Bear, if Missouri could get up to a big lead, they may be mixing, matching some quarterbacks, Iowa. If you could get out and go run away with this thing, that would be my goal if I'm Eli Drinkwitz, because I think it would be tough for Iowa to come back from that perspective. I think that would be my goal. But I think overall, I mean, you're right. You're in a good spot here, Missouri. The motivation's there. I like the matchup for you across the board.
Dave, when you and I do shows together, we always pick one player to monitor. I will go first. I really want to see what Joshua Manning can do, because regardless of who's playing quarterback next year, whether it's Zollers, the 4-star they just brought in, whether it's Sam Horn coming back from, I think it was Tommy John surgery, you got to have a new number one receiver. And Luther Burden's not playing in this game. Theo Wees, as of right now, is expected to play in this game. He was probably the most underappreciated wide receiver that didn't put up 1,000 yards this past season because he was always open for whoever was the starting quarterback. But I think that you need to figure out, do you have a number one? Or does Joshua Manning kind of take on the mantle as the Robin to Kevin Coleman Jr., the Mississippi State transfer that's going to be a part of this team next year, as the Batman? And I think that's really important because this is a team that still can be very dangerous in 2025. I think a lot of people forget that the only thing that's changing is the schedule is switching. So where you played on the road last year, now you play at home. Dave, Mizzou was undefeated at home this season. Their 3 losses came at Tuscaloosa, at College Station, and at Columbia, South Carolina. And every single one of those games is going to be in Como next year. So if you can establish Joshua Manning as the number 2 or the future number 1, he gives you a good performance against a very physical Kirk Ferentz defense. You feel pretty confident about your odds as long as you bring in a couple more transfers, dot the I's, cross the T's, fortify your roster, and put yourself in a great position to respond in 2025, because you're still going to have the same offensive coordinator, the same defensive coordinator, and you're still going to have the same head coach. I want Joshua Manning to have a big-time game.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on offense too. Go Marcus Bryant, left tackle. Starts up front. If they can stick to it here, calling out Kirby Moore, Eli Drinkwitz as well, stick to the outside zone run, I think Missouri, that is their bread and butter. When they've committed to it, they've done it against everybody. I think if you can hit some big runs, I mean, it's not even like for touchdowns, just consistently going for 6 to 8 yards, which that's possible. They can do it. Again, Marcus Carroll and them got to get comfortable in that, and I think they will be. I think that could open up this game, and we could see Missouri go run away and get a little comfortable in this. I think that's going to be key. The play calling, staying committed to it, but also the big uglies up front. I'm going to lean on my guy to go try to cross some faces here in Marcus Bryant.
Let's go ahead and lock in some predictions. Mizzou enters this game as a 3-point favorite in Nissan Stadium. Kickoff on December 30th, 1:30 Central, ESPN. Dave, I'll let you go first. Who do you think walks away with a victory?
I mean, again, the motivation, I think, is obviously on the Missouri side, or it should be. You should do a good job of motivating. You still got a lot to play for. Double-digit wins once again after what you did last year. Brady Cook, senior there, has a ton to play for. I like the matchup because I do think you can run on Iowa here. I think Missouri has the advantage on the outside of the skill spots as well. I mean, I just feel like Missouri comes. This is one Eli Drinkwitz, for all his faults at times, a lot of people give him hell, myself included. I think he does do a good job of like understanding his team and getting to the pulse of the team. So I fully expect them in South Carolina to be 2 of the more motivated teams in the SEC and bowl season. I think Missouri's right there, obviously, as I just mentioned. I think Missouri's going to win. Give me Missouri in this game. I think this game's going to be something like, give me Missouri 24-7. I think Missouri wins by double digits. I think they cover. The line right now is Missouri favored by 3, point total 41.5. I'm looking on ESPN right now. I feel pretty confident Missouri, if they can get up big, and if how I'm mapping out how this game goes, get that zone scheme, that stretch run going, and I think you can throw off some play action, hit your guy, like you were saying, Theo Wees earlier, Mekhi Miller and them across the board. So I think there's going to be some plays there for Missouri. I think they're definitely going to be motivated. As I say in every one of these bowl previews, motivation is key in these. I think Missouri's got back-to-back double-digit win seasons to motivate them. So give me Missouri 24-7.
Closing out the year with 10 wins, closing out the year with a bowl victory, just makes the offseason sweeter. And I think what it really does for a team like Missouri or a team like Iowa is it allows you to start going in the transfer portal and saying, this is the trajectory of our team. This is who's coming back next year. These are some players that are going to be a part of our long-term future. Do you want to join the culture that we have in Iowa City or in Columbia, Missouri? And I think that when it comes to Missouri, a 10-win season underneath Eli Drinkwitz for back-to-back years proves, number one, you have the right coach. Number two, you also have the right culture, which is major in college football today. Because at places like Alabama and Georgia and Texas, you could lose a top-tier prospect. You could lose a former five-star recruit, and it's not going to make a dent in your team. But when you do it at Missouri or you do it at Kentucky or you do it at a place even like Auburn right now, it becomes detrimental and it shows that the culture isn't right. But I think that you're not going to have anybody opt out. I don't think you're going to have anybody kind of put the team behind them. I think that they want to see the fruits of their labor be finished across that goal line. And I really do believe that this is going to be one of the better matchups that we see Missouri playing this year. I can't trust Iowa's offense because of it was so predicated on Caleb Johnson averaging over 20 carries per game. It was so much a unique system where they knew that if you were able to stop number two, it became kind of a downward spiral. But if you couldn't, you had a really good shot. Well, he's not playing in this game, so I don't have to worry about stopping him. I feel like Missouri is going to uncork everything that they have. They want to let the SEC know we're going to be players. I think that they also want to let players in the transfer portal know we are trending upward. We had 2 great years. Let's go for the three-peat. I'm going to say Missouri wins this one 31-13. I believe you will see 14. I believe you will see at least 2 touchdowns by the Hawkeyes, but I feel like that you're going to see Theo Wees get his due. I think you're going to see Brady Cook get his due. Marcus Carroll get his due. Nate Noel get his due. You're going to see some young players step on up and prove why they are a threat in 2025. I like this. It's a sweet song sung in Nashville. 10-win season. Great workout all throughout the spring. You get prepared for 2025 where this maybe is your year. 31-14 final score. Start out 2025 with 10 wins.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I feel pretty good about Missouri. They're one of the teams in the league. I feel like you said, if you can pinpoint that motivation and they really have something to play for, and again, they're not missing a ton. I feel pretty good about them here, and I like the matchup.
Let us know in the comment section, who do you think walks away with a win? Iowa, Missouri? Is this going to end in a tie in quadruple overtime? Like, review, make sure you hit subscribe. Follow us on the socials, link in the description. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson, Dave at Mach 10 Sports, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. MIZ, my faithful, we have ridden together throughout the season. Let's do it one more time. Peace.